Hey guys, so with the new Affliction League launching in just a few hours, I wanted to share what's going to be my League starter. Now this build will be using a new transfigured gem, namely Rage Vortex of Berserking, and since this is a brand new gem, that means I haven't actually played it yet because it's not in the game until the new league launches. So this build is untested and pretty experimental. So this is more so going to be a video showing the concept of the build rather than a detailed guide. And I just came up with the idea for this build earlier today, so I'm still thinking about ways to approach it, but if you guys have any suggestions, feel free to post them in the comments. And also I want to say, I wouldn't recommend this build for newer players because, well, we don't know how much the gem is going to cost at League launch and stuff like that, and yeah, it's untested, so if the gem ends up being expensive, you might have to play another build for a little bit, but I'll go into that more later. So, Rage Vortex of Berserking, it's essentially like the old Rage Vortex, but the Vortex is stuck to your character. So it moves around with you, kind of like a Blade Vortex. And then it doesn't deal damage based on how much rage you sacrifice, it just deals a flat amount of damage all the time, but has a rage loss per second. So the way I figured I would build around this is through Rotblood Promise and here, Rotblood Promise and Chains of Emancipation. So Chains of Emancipation gives you maximum rage when you lose temporal chains, and Rotblood Promise, you socket a curse gem into it, and then it becomes an aura with blasphemy, and then when you toggle the aura onto you, you get the curse, so you get temporal chains, and then you deactivate the aura and you lose it, and then you have full rage. So that's the idea. Activate it, deactivate it, and then you'll have full rage and you can start the Rage Vortex. And to show you what that looks like, it's gonna look, I have a little video, it's gonna look something like this. So you have it on left click, or you could have it somewhere else. This having it on left click automates it, so that's the easiest way. So you press it once, then you take it off, and then you have full rage, and you can throw your Blade Storm. Let's see that again. Sorry. Okay. You toggle it, take it off, and then you have max rage, and you can throw your Rage Storm. But the Rage Storm will be centered around you, and you can run around with it and use it as your main clearing skill. Okay, that's the basic concept, and then I'll also be using Blade Storm for some additional single target. In this version I just have it as a 4-link, you might be able to get it as a 5-link, but the socket pressure is quite high, and then of course your Rage Vortex will be your 6-link and the primary way that you clear with. And yeah, as you can see here is the setup for the end game. There's some details I need to figure out. Right now I can't activate temp chains and have my war banner running at the same time. So that might be a little bit annoying. I might have to get some more reservation. I'll have to see how it feels like. And also right now, temp chains will override my mark, my poacher's mark, so that's why I have it on mark and hit, so it will keep applying. But if I keep putting on temp chains, like I don't know how often I will have to activate temp chains in order for it to feel good, so you might have to get one additional curse in order for your curse not to be overridden with temp chains all the time. And yeah, in the PoB you will see some leveling setup here, using Splitting Steel and then Helix, and then you can use Blade Storm from that point on. And here you have some auras and some utility and movement skills. And then I sort of have like a backup plan. If the gem is expensive, I'll just use a 5-link Rage Vortex and maybe a 6-link Blade Storm. But hopefully you won't have to get to this point where you're playing in the end game with another build. Hopefully the gem will be pretty cheap and you'll be able to play the main version of the setup. And then also in the PoB, you will see some leveling trees. Like here, you're just gonna be leveling with Blade Storm, like I said, or yeah, these 3 skills. You can just use Splitting Steel all the way to Blade Storm if you want, or you can use Helix throughout the act. Some people really like Helix, doesn't really matter. But yeah, you have some leveling early, mid, and then an early mapping setup. In the early mapping setup, you probably will not have your setup with Chains of Emancipation and Rotblood Promise, so that's still just pretty much an RV and Bladestorm setup. But yeah, like I said, this is more a concept than a fully detailed guide. But this is what the gear looks like. It's pretty simple. Oh yeah, I have 2 setups for the gear as well, since early on you won't have those uniques. And then in the end game, just using Dawn Strider and the combo for the Rage. And yeah, we'll just have to see how it shakes out. I'm using Primalist right now, I think is the best. Of course, I should mention I'm Slayer. I think Impact will be pretty good for the range. This is mostly going to be a map clearing build, so I reckon Slayer will be a good choice. Most people probably approach this thinking Berserker, and of course that is very good. That might be the best choice. And a lot of people will be using the Redblade Banner in order to max out your Rage. But I think this setup with Rotblood Promise and Chains of Emancipation is really interesting, and it lets you try it on other classes, because the Berserker version relies on Warbringer. So yeah, I think it's gonna be a pretty fun build. We'll see how it goes. I'll make an update video in maybe a couple of days with hopefully a more fully fleshed out guide. And yeah, good luck on Leaguestart. If you try this, feel free to give me some feedback. Feel free to help out other people who are playing the build, and we'll see how it goes. Hopefully it goes good. Good luck.